And Mr. Pollard, we had some questions for you.
And I'll be happy to answer.
She's right here. You got some questions for Mr. Pollard?
You're running the little newspaper over there?
I am the editor of the Cherokee Phoenix, yes.
Okay. My question went more to how we might be able to make you all more independent through possibly deriving more funds from your the ads you sell, and possibly looking at maybe selling the newspapers versus giving them away, and maybe lowering the cost of your mail outs if we can get a handle on the address issue.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what I was hoping maybe you could address, if there was some leeway there with your group about maybe making some of those adjustments so that more of your money's coming from yourself.
Internally.
Right. Than through us, making you truly even more independent.
Yeah.
I'm very supportive of your newspaper, but I'm hoping that over a period of time you become self-sustaining. I guess that's everybody's objective in the world, is to be able to stand on their own. Are you all dealing with some of those issues?
That's a conversation that has been had in many circles over the years, and we kind of have a catch-22 where that is concerned. In order for us to really be able to bring in the kind of advertising revenue that we would need to start to offset our costs, we need to publish more frequently. Well, if we publish more frequently, that means that our printing and our mailing costs go up. And because we mail at no cost to our readers, we pay right around $10,000 a month just to do the mail. And so we're kind of stuck, because as long as we're mandated to mail it free to any Cherokee citizen who wants it, it prohibits us from being able to publish more frequently, and because we can't publish more frequently, it makes it difficult to bring in significant ad revenue.
And the mandating is by?
I have never actually found it in writing that it's mandated that we do that. It's a legacy that has been extended to me, and what I've been told is that it's just the way that we have done things, but I actually have looked for it in writing to see where it says, and it's not in the Independent Press Act, obviously, but I haven't actually seen it written anywhere that says that we have to do it that way. And when I've talked to my editorial board about charging readers, they have not been favorable, because they felt like that would discourage readership, particularly among our readers who are accustomed to receiving it for free.
What about some sort of combination of, we continue to send free to the elderly, but those that are younger, that we ask them to pay a small? One strategy that we have in motion right now is, you've probably noticed the last couple of years there have been more and more racks available for people to pick up the newspaper for free, and we've been increasing those number of racks over the last 2 years. And our hope is that if we can get to a point where people who live in the 14 counties know, oh, well, I can go pick up a Cherokee Phoenix at the corner store. If they know that, then there may come a point when we can stop mailing out to people who live in the 14 counties, because the newspaper will be readily available to them in their community. And so we've thought about that, because the vast majority of our mail-outs are in the 14 counties or right around the 14 counties. How will we know that they don't care to have it mailed to us unless we don't mail it to them and then see if they ask it to be mailed?
We've done that. The last time that we had, when I became the editor, we had what I felt was a very bloated mailing list. And we were getting complaints from the post office, actually, that they had so many bad addresses that our newspapers were glutting the post offices. And so we did a pretty radical scrub of our list. and almost started over from scratch, and have left it up to readers to call us and say, gee, I used to receive the Phoenix and now I don't get it anymore, and then we'll put them back on the list if they express an interest. And so our mailing list right now, I think, is significantly leaner than it was when I became the editor. But I think that there are still some bad addresses, but we're being much more diligent about keeping bad addresses off. And so I think the mailing list that we have right now are people who read the newspaper for the most part.
Do you have any idea how many you mail out monthly?
We're mailing about 25,000 right now, with a total circulation of just more than 36,000. So that additional number, 10,000 or so, is what we distribute through our news racks. Yeah.
Which I get my newspaper that way. Just I don't know why I don't have it sent to the house. But
I'm glad you're doing it. Saves us money.
Well, but I had noticed that some people will take. There was one in front of me one day. It took almost 20 newspapers, and I thought, well, what are they going to do with that many newspapers? So there is some, even if we charged a dime, it'd probably stop that maybe. I don't know whether it would stop it or not. I guess they'd just open it up and take 20 anyway for the dime.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is, but it's an ongoing conversation that I have with my board to try to figure out strategies for how we're gonna do this, because my board and I am very interested in bringing our revenues up to a point where it offsets what we're getting from the general fund. But we just haven't. As long as we have that huge mailing cost on a monthly basis, it kind of ties my hands in some ways.
But we don't know of any place where it's mandated at this point.
I have not found it.
It's just kind of been a thing that we've done.
I haven't found it, nor have I found the source of the mandate. It's just the way that it has been done.
I would be very interested in seeing what your board would say to the option of not mailing within the 14 counties because of the rack system that you have. Mm-hmm. And I can tell that is increasing. Mm-hmm. Just from looking around this area, you're putting racks in all of the spots where newspapers are routinely purchased. Mm-hmm. Because of that rack system that is on the increase, I would very much like to see the interest that your board might have in discontinuing the mail-outs in the 14 counties, but continuing the mail-outs to those where the rack would be unavailable, which is your at-large constituency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, outside the 14 counties.
Would that be something that you would feel comfortable with at least talking to your board about?
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. I'll be meeting with them again in the next few weeks, and so we can discuss that again, and I can report back to you what they say.
I would certainly appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any questions from Mr. Paul? Well, we appreciate your coming and visiting with us.
No problem. Thank you. Anytime.
Okay. I think Dr. Morton just stepped out and we had a question. There was a new question for him. Is that correct? Or with Dr. Morton? Yes.
I have a proposal.
Okay.
It's covering red clay, but before I present it, I'd like to ask you, our resident historian, to give a kind of very brief overview of red clay and its importance and what it represents.
Okay. Very brief. Okay. Prior to Cherokee removal, when Georgia enacted their laws of aggression against the Cherokee Nation in the early 1830s, our capital was at New Eshota. Cherokee Phoenix was published at New Eshota. So the state of Georgia prohibited our meeting in the state of Georgia. So the tribal council had to leave New Eshota, and they moved and met at Red Clay Council Grounds, which is right on the Georgia. It's southern Tennessee, near the Georgia border. And that was our last council was in spring of 1838 in the east, was at Red Clay. And there were a series for about 4 or 5 years that the council met at Red Clay. And virtually the entire Cherokee Nation came to those councils. There were probably 12 to 15,000 Cherokees at these council meetings, almost the entire nation. So, following removal, and of course, the council grounds went away, and then in the 1950s, a Colonel James Corn, who lived in the area, purchased Red Clay, as he says, to save the Cherokee Nation, and he turned it over to the Georgia State Parks in, I believe, around 1980. And then it was cleaned up and established as a Georgia State Park, I believe, in 1983. And then in 1984, there was a joint council meeting between the Eastern Band and the Cherokee Nation at Red Clay. So that was the first joint council meeting we had, and that was 25 years ago next April. So it was significant that we all came back together because we'd been there before removal together as one nation. Then we were split apart, and then we came back to Red Clay once again as a joint nation. So it's significant that we go back next year for the 25th anniversary of that first joint council. So the Eastern Band has proposed that we join with them, and they've appropriated $35,000 for this council. They would like for us to appropriate the same amount to be used. It was April 6th, I believe, in 1984, so we're looking at April of 2009.
I was in the first one.
Yeah, I was at the first one, and I believe Jody was there. So that's a little bit of the history of Red Clay. So Ms. Frey.
So that's a very brief overview. This April of '09 is their 25th reunion. They're proposing $35,000 and wanted to know if the Cherokee Nation would match that. And that would cover activities, the planning, and the 25th anniversary monument. And I asked Gail if we would have any part in organizing and administering this money, and they said yes, they would agree to that. So my motion is to approve $35,000 for the 26th Red Clay reunion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And Dr. Morton, I believe there's a question for you.
All right.
Mr. Baker,
Some constituents had called and said that they had received letters saying that they had been denied working on their master's in continuing education or whatever, and I think there's 17 of them. And Dr. Morton and I talked out in the hall, and he said that, well, the letter probably really said that they were just being put off until all the undergraduates were funded. So I think and you can, I'm not putting words in your mouth. So
we will be able to fund all of the master's or graduate students who qualify for the scholarship. Brian used a word a while ago in a light that says a legacy that was extended to me. That's a process that has been used forever in higher ed that I'm going to change. We fund graduate students last, except those who have high GPAs. Now, there are some graduate students who are like 4.0 students that are already funded. But in the past, when higher ed office has been accustomed to running out of money before they get through the list, they have put the higher ed students who have a lower GPA in abeyance until the undergraduates are funded, and then they bring them in and fund them if funds are available. Funds will be available this year to fund all of those graduate students. And really, there's not a great deal of correlation between an undergraduate transcript of 10 or 15 years ago and ability to do graduate work now. So they will all be funded that qualify.
Okay. I appreciate you and Jennifer coming back.
Thank you.
It out for us.
I want to extend my appreciation to all of you for this process, because it's a good process. I like it. It's so much better because that way everyone is part of the system, everyone buys into the system, and I thank you.
Co-Chair Watts. Co-Chair Watts,
Yes, sir.
can I get you to ask Doug and them how long they think it will be, please? Joe's ready to go.
Keep her going, quietly. Perfect.
10 minutes.
We recess for 10 minutes.
I'll declare a 10-minute recess.